different.
Glass is the greatest. That's where real expansion of your mind and talents can be found. Turn on. Tune out of the rat race and its square problems. And tune in on real self-knowledge and creative power.
Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, the Jedi, Brandon Kenobi, and today we'll be talking about The Flash. And I gotta just say one thing first. This movie isn't completely terrible, but for the amount of money they spent on it, it should have been way better than what it was. This movie literally had the potential to probably be one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. I mean, after all these years, you finally bring Michael Keaton back in the Batman suit, and it's just okay? That's unacceptable. Movies like this are never supposed to be a one and done. And that's exactly what this film is, because I'll probably never watch it again. And I'm not saying it didn't have its cool moments, but so what? Cool moments are not what makes a movie great. I mean, it's definitely nice to look at, but it's good story which makes people want to come back and watch these movies. It's the story. If this movie had a good story, you wouldn't have heard so many people talking about how bad the graphics were. Because the graphics weren't really that good. They're kind of terrible. But the story made it worse. You know what else made this movie worse? Ezra Scissorhands. He's just not a good Flash. And I've seen enough portrayals of the Flash to know his is just a little off. For some reason, it seems like he's acting more like himself than he is Barry Allen. I'm not sure if they told him to act like that, or the director just gave him free for all to do whatever he wanted. But his acting wasn't the worst part for me. The worst part is this is supposed to be a Flashpoint movie, Flashpoint story, but they didn't use Reverse Flash. And just for a second, forget not using Reverse Flash. They don't even show you who kills his mom. I'm telling you the truth, this movie did its best not to make any sense at all. His big plan is to go back in time and save his mother's life, but he doesn't go back in time to figure out who murdered his mother or stop the murderer. Like, come on, my guy. And this is something they only do in this movie. In the cartoon TV show, they show Reverse Flash. It's always been Reverse Flash. You can't do a Flashpoint movie and then take the main part of the story out. That's a huge problem with these studios nowadays, man. I'm telling you. And the directors they hire, they always want to make the movie in their image and in their way. Like, just do a good movie that we can all watch, right? You want the money, don't you? You want us all to come see your movie, don't you? So I got an idea for you. Just make the movie for everybody. And I guarantee you, you'll make all the money. And my first recommendation would have been, they should have just went forward with Grant Gustin. He's probably the best Flash we've ever gotten. I mean, honestly, if somebody came up to me and asked me like, oh, I want to learn about the Flash, but I want to watch it, I would like, dude, go straight to the TV show. Because it goes through all the Flashpoint, all his origin. He has an arc. And they go through most of his villains, too. But I'm not going to shit on this movie completely. It did have its moments. If I had to choose one scene that was by far my favorite, is when he went back in time and broke the Speed Force to go save his mother. That was probably the coolest moment of the movie. I think what really got me was the soundtrack they played. I'm a huge sucker for theme songs. And when he was running, they played a song off the soundtrack called Run, composed by Benjamin Wallfish. And that's actually what you can hear now playing lightly in the background. And there's another thing that I enjoyed in this movie. Supergirl. She was great. I honestly didn't expect that, but the actress did a wonderful job. I would have loved to see way more of her character, but unfortunately she's not in the movie that long. But her portrayal of the character has definitely been memorable. Honestly, I think she could have gotten her own movie. I mean, hell, I would have watched it for sure. But one thing they gotta stop doing is trying to make these pretty girls look ugly. Like, come on, man. You're really gonna give this girl a boy haircut? Like, look how beautiful she is, but they're gonna chop her hair off like that. And maybe that's because of the circumstances of the movie, of what happens to her character. But I've seen this trend in a lot of other shows and movies. And in some cases, it may work. But for Supergirl, I wouldn't have done it with this character. I'm really not sure why these studios think you always have to update these characters for the modern audience. And they end up making these characters reflect themselves or people in the outside world. And that's not what I watch movies for. But besides changing the character's look and her origin story, even with all those changes, I still enjoyed her character. But that doesn't change the fact that the story they gave us, they stole from the Superman Flashpoint story. So how much credit can I really give them when it wasn't their idea in the first place? And I would love to say, hey, go see this movie. Michael Keaton's back as Batman, and he did a great job. But it wasn't like that. It wasn't even like that at all. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even in the room. It wasn't even in the house. It wasn't even in the neighborhood. I mean, there's no way you get Ben Affleck back, Michael Keaton, and the movie's just mediocre. It almost made me mad because they were actually the best parts about the movie. My first thoughts while watching this movie, I kept thinking to myself, like, we should just get a Ben Affleck Batman movie. We should have just got a Michael Keaton Batman movie. Or how about this? Put them both in a movie together. And you could have had them out there in the multiverse with a little bit of help from the Flash. He could have been in the movie, but not the whole part. And I promised myself that I wasn't going to say too much about the graphics. But I'm almost positive these graphics are no better than a CW TV show Flash. If I told you this character right here was from the movie, you probably wouldn't even know the difference. But the strangest part about the movie to me is, it's taking out Reverse Flash, but there is a Reverse Flash in the movie, but it's not Reverse Flash. There's a Dark Flash in the movie, which is an alternate version of Barry Allen. Spoiler alert. I'm not sure if they thought that was an original idea, but they pretty much stole that from the TV show. That's Savitar. I'm not sure if they're trying to give a nod to the character, but they even made him look like Savitar. And when I said he was Dark Flash, I did not mean Black Flash. They literally just created their own character for no reason at all. And he looks terrible. They probably should have just used Savitar. Because the design that I'm looking at right here, garbage. Yeah, honestly, it's unfortunate this movie ended up like this. Besides the actor having his outside antics in the real life world, I kind of wanted this movie to do well, but unfortunately this movie will not be the one for me. And if you guys want to know more about The Flash, I cannot recommend it. What I would recommend you watching if you want to know more about The Flash is go straight to the TV show. Or I would recommend going to watch the Justice League cartoon and Justice League Unlimited. They had a great series. And if you feel my tempo and you like my info, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
Talents can be found. Tune out of the rat race and its square problems, and tune in on real self-knowledge and creative power.